Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Eric, KJ4YZI. You're watching Ham Radio Concepts. Today I want to follow up with yesterday's video on this new QRZ-1 dual band handheld that is being offered on the new Ham Jumpstart package in collaboration with QRZ.com and Gigaparts.com. If you get a new technician license from now, August 19th, 2022, to October 31st, 2022, and you submit your FCC license to QRZ.com, it will give you a free radio to get you on the air real quick and a nice welcome package. So we're going to talk today about this radio here and why this is not just a rebranded radio. They've done firmware changes. I'm going to show you the menu. I made a couple contacts on it through the local repeater. It sounds amazing. It really is easy for any person, including my wife, any tech, to get on the air with a radio like this, and it's free while supplies last. So you got to make sure, watch my other video I posted before this, go to QRZ.com. It's on the front page of the Jumpstart program, and it'll show you how you can easily just take your tech license anywhere you get your license, and then give them the information. They give you a brand new radio, and it's FCC type accepted. Right here on Ham Radio Concepts.
Ham Radio Concepts is brought to you by HamRadioPrep.com. It's never been easier to learn about ham radio before you take the exam. And Ham Radio Prep makes it fun and guarantees your success. Visit HamRadioPrep.com. Use the code ERIC20 to instantly save 20% off every course you buy. Remember the name, HamRadioPrep.com.
Okay, this is the Explorer QRZ-1, a 5-watt dual band handheld. Okay, here's the FCC ID here on the label. What they did was they had developers and engineers redesign the manual, the firmware, the button placement, and the functionality, and some performance improvements. Now I will say this, somebody on YouTube yesterday was up there by the Huntsville Hamfest, Alabama. That's where they announced this yesterday. That's why I put the video up yesterday. So somebody on YouTube, I forget who he was, but he has a video with a service monitor up on the Montesano mountain there, and he showed this radio. It's super, super clean. I think he said ICOM or Yaesu status on the spectrum analyzer. No harmonics, no birdies or whatever. I mean, it looks really good on the service monitor. So there's no reason for me to do that. He made a great video on that. So just a couple highlights about this. Again, the thing about this is it is also locked down, right? So it transmits 144 to 147.995 and 420 to 449.995. Why is that a big deal? Because a lot of people in the past, when the Baofangs and everything else came out, they were transmitting out of band and it was causing noise and using them illegally. Here's my thing. If you're a new tech and you just want to get started on the radio, you can't accidentally transmit out of band. It'll only transmit, where you're allowed to as a tech. Now, that is one of your test questions. So you got to remember those. You should already know that if you passed your test, where you can transmit and where you can't. Okay? So it's also got an FM radio built in, and it's got a receiver that does 136 to 174 and 400 to 480, 200 memory channels. Enough memories these days for analog repeaters in your area or when you travel to program into this radio. 1400 milliamp hour battery, 5 watts maximum transmit power. Okay, what would you get if you got this as part of the Jumpstart package, or you purchased it for $59? They will be. The Jumpstart package is not going to last forever. They're going to run out of supplies at some point, or they're just going to stop doing it. But they're going to get a lot of people on the air, and I applaud QRZ.com and Gigaparts.com for coming up with something like this. This is, guys, I can only make videos so long, and then people tell me, well, it's great. Your sponsors at Ham Radio Prep. I get my license. Now I got to buy a radio. Look, get your license, get a free radio, get on the air, and then you'll progress. You don't have to rush this, guys. If you're new to the hobby, do not ever look at my videos and think, oh, this guy's rich. He's got all this stuff. That's how I have to be a ham operator. No. You know why? Because I talked to one of the main guys at Gigaparts when this radio was sent to me, and he is a big Yaesu fan, and he wants to have one of these in his vehicles, one of these at the office, one of these at his house for his kids and stuff who are licensed. This is a good radio. It's solid. It is solid. It sounds good, and there's no reason to call this some Chinese rebranded radio. No, it's not. The first thing I want to show you is up and close this manual. This was a big problem back in the day when you had radios that you purchased. And on Amazon, they still have them to this day. A lot of broken translation. This one, no. The guys between Gigaparts and QRZ collaborated, and they had people go through and rewrite this manual entirely in plain English, okay? Plain English. When I tell you plain English, this thing will actually teach you a couple of things about what the functions are on this radio, which apply to a lot of radios. Okay, how to install the radio and the belt clip and stuff. But then, see, then it starts like this, the basics. Here, I'll read one line for you right here in case you are visually impaired. Simplex is a mode of operation where two radios can talk directly to each other without any intervening assistance. Simplex is the classic walkie-talkie mode that most people use when communicating with friends that are nearby. At the frequency used by this radio, nearby obstructions matter. For example, a signal will travel farther in an open field than it will in a forest. That's line of sight. Now, this you should pretty much know on your license, but again, some people may have a different learning curve. They get their license, now they got this radio in a book, and they have no idea. So I can assure you that I wasted, because I couldn't sleep this morning at 4 o'clock. I didn't waste. I couldn't sleep at 4 o'clock this morning. I sat here and spent time. Wasted was a bad word. I used the time and read every page, and I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to give you this information on YouTube that it's accurate. Yes, it is. I mean, it tells you even, how do repeaters work and repeater directories for finding repeaters, okay? So that took me a little bit to read through this and look at it. I applaud them for having a really good manual to read as a new technician, okay? What's the worst thing that happens? The worst thing that can happen is you buy a radio and you have no idea how to use it and it sits there, right? So now the radio is free. It shows you how to get on the radio. Very simple. Let's talk about the radio itself. Okay, what would you get? So you'd get the radio itself, the antenna. I've already put this back in the package for video's sake. Okay, so I'm not lying to you. I did use it. This is an SMA female antenna connector with an SMA male antenna. Okay. This is designed on a TYT platform. So TYT makes good radios. This is very solid. Okay. It's got like a commercial feel to it. In fact, we'll go into that. So, okay, here is the battery, 1400 milliamp, and it's, what's funny? It's got the belt clip screwed on, and I love that because if you've never had a radio like this before, that's a pain in the butt. To get that thing on there, you got to push it down with the spring, get the screws in, right? They took care of that for you, all right? Pop this on like this. There it is. Got a nice tight, solid feel. Not sure if this is water resistant. I'm not sure. It might just be splash and dust resistant, I'm sure. And then you have a drop-in charger. You know what else I did not see in here? It doesn't bother me. Every one of these radios, for those who know, you get that little tether thing that goes on here. They decided not to include that. And that's fine. That's fine because I have them over here. Look at this. They just lay around everywhere. The little tether thing you put on your wrist. So that's fine. A lot of people don't use that, but here it is. Now, the optional accessories that they have, and I don't have them right here in front of me. They're over there. I'm not going to get out. Speaker mics. That's in the other video I showed you. Battery eliminators, where you could take this battery off, put the battery eliminator on it, and what that means is you can plug that into your power port, or they call it a cigarette lighter in your car, and not have to worry about the battery going dead. Then they have additional higher capacity batteries that have USB-C charging on them. Programming cable and software. They have the accessories all for this radio at gigaparts.com. Should you be watching this video 6 months after this promotion, you can still purchase this. And what you're doing is you're purchasing, I'm going to show you the firmware and the menus in a second. You're purchasing a radio that has actually been gone through and redesigned by two big companies in ham radio that are trying to make it, as easy and ham friendly as possible. So it would really upset me with the work that went into this if somebody said, oh, you want one of those Chinese radios that QRZ-1? No, maybe it is made in China, but you know what? Somebody thought this out and worked with the developers and the engineers to get this how it needs to be. I love that, okay? I love it. So this is something that I feel proud to make a video on. I really do. It was sent to me for free. They sent it to me and they said, hey, it's getting announced Friday. It'll be at Huntsville Hamfest. Right now, people are at Huntsville Hamfest in Alabama. I didn't get to go this year. I can't afford it. I can't get the time off work. Too busy. But they have these there at the Huntsville Hamfest, and they're answering all kinds of questions. So there's a lot of traffic, apparently, for people there. So, dot matrix screen. Here, let me do it again when I turn it on. Ready? So let's see if I can get it a little closer here. I hope that comes out. I hope that comes out in the, there it goes. Yeah, it's my camera here. Hold on. Right, so you see the QRZ-1 Explorer. All right. Now, I've already used this for a repeater, but I'm going to show you the menu. Let me just try it one more time. KJ4 YZI testing. That's a fusion repeater, so it doesn't have the squelch tail and none of that. Okay, nobody's on there right now. I talked to KO4AJE on there and one other person. So, on the left side, here's the label there. On the left side, you have a PTT button. You have a function button for the flashlight. Listen. Okay. Then you have one here for monitor. That's how every commercial radio is. The monitor, what that does is break the squelch. So if you're listening and it's starting to squelch out because you have a distant station, you can manually unsquelch it and monitor that frequency. Now, a lot of times you can do that on a lot of these radios that come from overseas, but you have to program that in. They already mapped these function buttons for that. So they assumed everybody's going to want a flashlight, everybody's going to want the monitor button. Okay. On the right side, you have this, standard 3.5 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, Kenwood style, Baofeng style, for programming, for speaker mic, for the wireless or the earpiece, and more. Okay, so that's there, and keep that closed for any kind of water and dust intrusion there. Volume on the top. Now, let's look at these buttons for a second because it took me 1 second to figure this out. A little bit different. I can grab pretty much any Baofeng or clone radio of that nature and get through it real quick. This was a little different because they remapped the buttons for only the features that we're really going to need. And made them easier, so they had these reprinted. For instance, VFO A and B, right? That's very simple. There is a couple radios out there that, for some reason, I think it was not the TYT, it might have been a TYT, I can't remember. But it was hard to figure out how to get from VFO A to VFO B, right? Then you got, like, for instance, FM radio, and you have squelch. So watch this. All you'd have to do is hit the menu button, okay, and then the corresponding key. There's your FM radio, right? Let's see, like if you want the squelch settings, so you can hit menu, squelch. There's your squelch settings, okay? Very simple. If you see it on the keypad, you just hit menu and then the button, and it, they have a tone, code, repeater, lock, squelch, dual, lamp. So you want to turn the light on. Oh, that's the lamp, right? That's the screen display, lamp. If you want it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, stay on all the time, stay off, whatever. Okay. So that's a good look at the front here. Now I'm going to give you a look just through the menu real quick and show you how much easier and less cluttered the menu is now. Okay. So if I go into menu, the first thing you get, here we go. Let's see if I can read it backwards in the camera. Ready? All right. So you got lamp mode, dual receive, squelch, repeater, that's your positive and negative offset. Tone select, that's your tone frequency for CTCSS. Tone mode, if you want to transmit, receive, or both. The firmware number. Reset all. Dual watch, on or off, if you want to be able to listen to both VFO A and VFO B for 2 simultaneous receives. Display mode, frequency, or if you program it and you do it manually for names, the AB4AZ repeater, the K4KXT repeater, or channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. I like to have frequency mode. For some reason, I have this weird fascination that I'm never programming radios. I do it all off the cuff. And just like I do with my cell phone, I dial numbers. So if I ever lose my phone, I can call anybody from anywhere. That's just me. Let's see. We're going to go back in the menu here. Okay, so that's display mode, lock mode, if you want to lock the keypad. Tone scan, you could scan for the tones on the repeater. So if you don't know what CTCSS that repeater uses, you can scan for it. Wide and narrow, step size, timeout timer for transmitting, receive sleep, so if it hasn't heard anything in a certain ratio, it turns it off. Welcome message, offset, which usually is automatic. They put that in there. Transmit block, I'm not sure what that is. I have to look in the manual. Scan mode, Vox level, so that's voice operated transmit. Battery voltage, power, high, medium, or low. The beep, I turned it off, and there is no voice readout on here, I don't think. Brightness level, and that's it, okay? So what did you see in that menu right off the bat? And by the way, if you go like menu 0, there's your battery voltage. So if you want to see your battery voltage in a, there you go, in an indicator, you could just go menu 0, like a shortcut, you know? Yaesu does a lot of shortcuts like that. So what did you see in that menu? If you think this video is lackluster, okay, fine. Just, leave a comment, whatever. But check it out. You've remembered all the other videos of radios that we've all showed you on YouTube. And some of them have these weird things. What is that PTT ID? What's the scrambler? What's the compander? What's two-tone? What's five-tone? All that stuff doesn't get used in ham radio. Everything you saw on this menu, okay, had a useful purpose for ham radio and ham radio only. That's what they're gearing towards. And I want to know what that transmit block said. Now you're making me think about that. I wonder if it's, well, let's reference the menu. Will the menu answer my question, yes or no? Oh, the menu also shows you the icons on the screen on what they mean, because sometimes you have radios from overseas. You're like, what is that, squiggly line thing? And you don't know ever what it is. Offset. Where is the transmit? Let's see. Transmit block. Prevents the radio from transmitting if receiving a transmission on the same frequency. Okay, cool. So if it's what they call busy on commercial radios, if it's a busy, transmit inhibit maybe on DMR. So if it's receiving, you can't talk over somebody. That's a pretty cool feature. I'm not sure why I would do that, because I wouldn't want to talk over somebody, because that wouldn't, it's not CB radio, but you get the idea. So I like it. I hope, there's not much to show on here. I could make contacts on it. I could put it on a spectrum analyzer. I could put it on a power meter. Listen, if they went through this much trouble to do this, I'm pretty sure they got it under control. And I made 2 contacts on the local analog machine here. It sounded great. What else could you ask for other than you're getting this for free? If you get a tech license in this time period, if you have one right now, if you're watching this and you got licensed last week, go send your information to QRZ. If you don't have a radio, get a license or a radio. Now, just remember, if you don't need this radio, but you get a tech and you already have a radio, gift this and let it go on to the next person to keep this program alive. You got to remember that. Somebody might say, well, I want that. I'll stick it in a drawer. If you're really not going to use it, don't keep that from somebody else. Say, hey, I got this and I got my tech license, and maybe you used Ham Radio Prep, my sponsors, with the code ERIC20 for 20% off. Maybe you did that. But if you don't need this and you just want to get the tech anyways, you have a radio, you're going to buy a better one, then leave this and just opt out so that the next person doesn't miss it by a day. That's my opinion. I want every person to be able to get on the radio. And like QRZ said, to break the barriers, there's no reason that you can't get on the air in this time frame from this promotion if you're eligible and you get your tech in this time frame, August 19th, 2022 to October 31st, while supplies last. Okay? So thank you guys again for helping out the hobby that I enjoy and have a passion for. Thank you to my sponsors at Ham Radio Prep. Think about this real quick, guys. You got the code ERIC20 to save 20%. But if you're studying another video on YouTube or a website that was made 4 years ago, you're not studying the updated July 2022 question pool. Ham Radio Prep guarantees that if you follow their site, somebody even left a comment in the video yesterday and said, it's not a lie, Eric is right. I got my tech in general in a matter of days. Pixie did it, Dan did it. I'm out of time to study right now, but for my extra, But you got to check out HamRadioPrep.com. Link is in the description. Use the code ERIC20. Get your license in a week. Now you got to find the time to get this done while this promotion lasts. If you're interested in getting into ham radio and getting a free radio, now's the time to do it. Get the license quick on HamRadioPrep.com studying. Take it online, take it in person. Send that information when it hits the FCC database to QRZ. Get a free radio. Talk to me. There you go. 7-3, everybody. More videos are on the way. This is KJ4YZI.